Look, Manchester United getting themselves into a good position. Ten Hag, people make a lot about the conversation I had at the beginning of the season about the nature of what suit he was wearing and how he looked. My point was he didn't look like a leader. He didn't look like someone that was going to stamp his authority over Man United. And perhaps someone could argue that the Ronaldo situation was not him stamping his authority. But Ronaldo's gone now, and he's beginning to wield a certain level of rhetoric that's more in keeping with Manchester United of times gone past. People step out of line, they get consequences. Rashford gets late, it doesn't get his alarm clock off. It doesn't matter how well he's playing, he gets to put on the bench. He's got people's minds focused. They're beginning to become an irresistible force. The challenge for them is I'm also beginning to think that Arsenal are becoming an immovable object.
Yeah.
So does an irresistible force overcome an immovable object? I don't know. But United are in the conversation now. Properly in the conversation. And the way this Premier League is shaping up with all the different nuances and peculiarities in a World Cup year, I wouldn't sit here and say, I tell you what, categorically, will Man United out of winning this title? Because this ain't no ordinary season. This ain't no ordinary season. This isn't Manchester City. This seems to be rumblings at Manchester City. Silly things coming out of people's mouths. Guardiola qualifying what he said after a press conference. Gundogan talking about the nature of something behind the scenes not quite right, yet not being in the lineup.
Yeah.
Arguably the biggest game of the season against your local rivals. And all of those things. Liverpool being a mile off. Chelsea being seemingly all over the place.
You think United are in the title race?
I do. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they're in the title race.
I mean, you said on Friday they haven't met anybody real serious yet.
I expected Manchester City, based upon what Manchester City are in my mind's eye, to rebound after their performance against Southampton. Now, an offside goal put Manchester United in a position to be able to get themselves back into the game. But it doesn't matter. Over 90 minutes, Man United were far more of a competitive force in that game than they ever were when they got their heads handed to them at 6-3 2-3 months ago.
Yeah,
City will bounce back. We're talking about one of the greatest managers of all time here. He's won copious amounts of trophies.
Yeah, but
10
Martin,
major
here's
trophies.
the thing about Manchester United. When you boys went the season with invincibility, if you see where I'm going with this, you had momentum. You were unstoppable. Nobody could stop you. United appear to have shown more recently signs of this. Ten Hag has beaten Klopp, Arteta, Conte and Guardiola in the first half of his first season.
Yeah, no one doubting that, Jim. 9 wins on the bounce. It's remarkable what Manchester United have done, and Ten Hag was doing a very good job at Ajax. If you remember, they only just slipped out, didn't they, of making it to a final when Spurs somehow knocked them out of the Champions League.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, a lot of innovation, the way that he was managing. But when I look at Pep and what he's trying to do is very difficult, Jim, when you have to keep regenerating that. They're almost in the way of themselves a little bit. He's worried about people getting complacent. Their consistency has been remarkable, and they've just fallen a little bit from that. He'll get that back. He'll rekindle it. It was disappointing to go out of the Cup in midweek. He would have expected to have beaten Manchester United. They go in front in games now, and they can't finish it off. I'm just looking at the back four there and thinking Laporte, Diaz and Stones didn't start the game in that central position. They were so integral to their success last season. That 3 was always two of that 3. They need to get them back and get that partnership together quick.
Here's the irony. This will be the season they'll be successful in Europe.
Well, they're out of the League Cup, so that's not going to be in the way.
Well, they didn't win it last year either, did they? So
you might well be right with that.
Here's the irony.
Yeah. At the moment, Simon, I mean, he's doing it his way, Ten Hag. I mean, the way he's going about it, you think, this guy does have the chops. He does have the chops. Look at the way he set them up at the weekend.
He does.
And of course, Maguire, he keeps in the bench. Only came on in the last 90-odd minutes, in the last 2 minutes of the 90. So he does it his way.
Yeah, and that's absolutely how he should do it. It's good to see Marcus Rashford back resembling something of a player, because last year some could argue that he cheated his football club because he didn't turn up for them for a significant period of time. This year he's back in the groove. He wanted to get back into that World Cup squad, and so he has. His confidence is up. A team are playing him in such a way that ultimately he can revel in the opportunities that are being created. But he's certainly a more positive, far more on focus footballer than he has been for the last 12 months.
Yeah,
all of those things have to be given. You can talk about the steady Eddie analogy that Graeme Souness talked about Casemiro, and you're now looking at the outcome of a very decent footballer being put into a Man United side, adding inherent value to them. Maguire needed to be taken out of commission. He didn't merit being in a Man United side, and he's had the balls to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Luke Shaw's gone into the middle as well.
Yeah, and Wan-Bissaka, we're talking about Wan-Bissaka now being back in the side and because Wan-Bissaka was always a good defender. How about some of these managers do something that they're actually paid for, like coach players to be better?
Exactly.
And that's one of the arguments that Conte's going to fall down on if he does fall down.
Exactly.
None of these players are really improving.
But Martin, if United win, at the Emirates. They cut the lead to 6.
Yep.
That's 2 wins.
Yeah, and that's how it is. You know, that's why it's so very suddenly.
It could be 3, in fact, because they play Palace in the week.
I was pulling your leg earlier about Sky not wanting the fixture last year. They certainly want it this year, Jim. Your beloved Sky, and I would dearly love that. It'd be nice if BT.
You're puggled sometimes, you know that.
It'd be nice if BT had it instead. They didn't want it. They're telling us this game was no
They put it on
longer.
BT, we got to
It
listen
was
to
no
you.
longer important. But Manchester United and Arsenal now coming back, Jim,
Yes.
and they're doing it at the same time. Just a word on Rashford. Playing really smart now, playing with composure, much more control. He's electric. And I think the manager has found that player that we always knew was there.
Yeah.
The swagger's back. And that's
Okay.
the player I'd be most fearful of
Okay.
in that game next week.